Yo, what's up? Here's a review for Atlanta Season 3. So I'm taking about episodes 1 and 2 for Atlanta, and basically this is the season premiere I'm about to talk about. So the first episode is called Three Slaps, and it's starring this young man who, and his character name is L'Aquarius, is Christopher Ferrara, but he's basically taking on the main character for this first episode. We're not really seeing any of Donald Glover's character or Brian Terry Harris character or anybody like that. It's basically a bottleneck episode where you have this young boy who is having problems acting up in class, and his teachers and counselors and principal confront his mom about it. The mom kind of says, either you're going to discipline him or I'm going to discipline him. She tries to discipline him outside of the classroom and the school hallways. One of the counselors feels some type of way about it and has an interaction with the mom, and then it goes into, she calls social services on him and gets him taken out of his home and put into this white family. I thought that was a very interesting way to kick this whole episode off, and a lot of what they were doing, it led to this whole thing of this little boy L'Aquarius being inside of this whole kind of living situation with this white family where he's being fostered, and they're basically changing everything about what he knows. They don't do anything the way he wants it to be done. They're basically these two white women who are as woke as can be, and they don't like to say cussing. This is how not you're supposed to dress at the dinner table. But it all comes down to that they're basically pushing all this goofy white stuff on them, and like certain things, like part of it felt like, I guess, that they were trying to push that they were treating the little kids as slaves, because it's not only him, it's 3 other black kids that's with him. So it feels more like, okay, this is the kind of woke white women treating these young black kids as slave type of deal, which I thought was very interesting and very funny when you start to see it. They're basically parading these kids off and all that stuff, which is pretty hilarious in watching it. I would say that the things that I really liked was, I loved how it ended and the kind of general message that they were giving through this first episode of kind of respect and love what you have at home, because other things could be worse. I really enjoyed that aspect of this first episode. I also really thought the young boy Christopher did a pretty okay job on how he was really portraying this whole dislike of what he was going through, and just him nonchalantly not knowing what was happening in the moment. I thought that was really good. I would say my one biggest gripe with this episode was that it felt at times more like they were just taking memes and viral videos and just kind of going off of them in a kind of a South Park or a Boondock style. And while I did find it enjoyable and kind of interesting the way they were using them, I also figured for me it was also kind of, yo, look at this, this is what we want you to remember. Oh, you remember that? Oh, don't you remember this little meme that we're kind of mimicking here? It kind of felt like they were pushing a little bit too far into that type of thing, which is interesting but not something I loved coming out of this episode. Going into episode 2, we finally get a little bit more of the actual cast of Atlanta. We start seeing Donald Glover's Ernest back. We see Brian T. Harry's Paperboy back. We see Lakeith Stanfield Darius, and we get Zazie Beetz Van. They all coming to Amsterdam, and that's where you meet up with most of them, while you get Donald Glover's character finally trying to get there. And then you have all of them getting to their little separate places where it follows Donald Glover's character trying on his way to get to Amsterdam, and then when he finally gets there, he has to go through all the crazy stuff of trying to deal with getting Paperboy to a show. Paperboy, you come and you see he's in jail, and Darius is just outside waiting. He's been probably in Amsterdam for a little while now, and it was very interesting to see how they put all the characters in their kind of own, okay, this is where we meet them at when they're not in America no more, and they now have to come together. I really enjoyed certain things like Paperboy in this episode. I thought was really funny, and how they played with him being in jail, which again, that's kind of a mimic of some real life stuff or some meme stuff. I think it comes more from what Freddie Gibbs and probably, I would also say, what is his name, ASAP Rocky, their experiences being in jail in another country. I really enjoyed how they kind of pushed the jails to be in these whole nice areas, and just, you know, their jails is nowhere near like how American jails were or are. And I love what they were doing with all that stuff. I would also say that I love kind of Darius's and Zazie Beetz' character Van. I love their kind of connection in the episode too, you know, with them just walking around with each other and kind of, you know, going on their own little venture of one, finding her a coat, then finding something inside of the coat pocket, and then them going to a place with this group of people where they see the actual they see what is supposed to be believed. Well, I guess is true. Tupac's still alive and he's on his deathbed, and you see what happens with him there, which I thought was hilarious, especially how it ended, and just had a nice little sense of weirdom to it. I really enjoyed what they were doing with all that stuff and that character. And then finally you get Donald Glover's character, who's I didn't really love him in this episode. It was basically him just being weird, kind of like nonchalant and just not really giving a fuck, kind of aloof the whole time while he's trying to get to this place he's going to be. And then also the theme, not main theme, but the whole ending of the episode where they don't perform because everybody's wearing blackface, and they're going off of this whole tradition in Amsterdam of this kind of Santa Claus type characters, and this whole thing of, you know, I forget what it is, but it's like some toys or dolls or something like that. I can't remember what it fully is, but they don't want to get on stage because of that, and the promoter attacks another white person in blackface thinking that is Donald Glover's character. So in all, I thought the episode was pretty enjoyable. There were some parts that I really enjoyed. I will say that there isn't yet a real, like, genuine story between the characters as so far. We're getting kind of an overview of where they are now, and it's nothing really comes from the first episode. I haven't really gotten too much of what we're supposed to expect or what's supposed to get from the first episode going into this one, but I thought this was a really good episode. I enjoyed a good amount of it, and I can't wait to see what they do with the next one. So for the most part, I am going to review the next 2 episodes coming up. I've already watched one of them, and I'll be talking about both of them when episode